It just, it's
I
amazing.
love you, Dave. I was so excited to do this interview with you. I told my friend Leslie,
Yeah.
the one I wrote the book with, she said the next time that you interview with Dave Hodges, she's been watching you faithfully for years. She's like, Sam, she's the co-author to Growing Under Poison Sky. She said, please bring me on. Next time you talk to Dave Hodges, I just want to talk to him. Everybody loves you. They just love you.
No, thanks. I hope they love the truth we can expose.
They
Got a lot
do.
of work to do. What's the story about this oil deal? I've not heard anything about it.
That's the problem. That's why we need your help. Okay. First, I'm going to tell you the story, and then I need you to tell me what to do, Dave. August 22nd, 2025 was a Friday. There's a refinery, a holding tank facility, and they make plastics. It's called Smitty's, Smittys, Smitty's Refinery. There's like four of them across the US. It was located in Roseland, Louisiana, which is Tangipahoa Parish. It exploded. It exploded at about 2:47 p.m. and it shot a plume of black rolling smoke 4 miles straight up, and it burned for 48 hours. Now, at the exact same time that this building caught, this entire refinery, it's 11 acres wide, it exploded. A horrible storm came in, a typical Louisiana summer storm. It picked up the smut, the oil, and the toxins, and it threw it. It threw it. It covered hundreds of miles of land. It is now dumped. They have recovered over 30 million gallons of toxins out of the Tangipahoa River, but the river is having new chemicals pumped. There's a leak somewhere in that plant still, and it's pumping every day thousands of gallons of new contaminant into the Tangipahoa River. Now, the thing about the Tangipahoa River is it goes through four parishes, which are counties, and then it opens into something called Lake Pontchartrain, which is on one side of New Orleans, right? It's our one of our largest, it is our largest
It-
freshwater
It's
lake.
where it's where the Cuban refugees were trained for the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Lake Pontchartrain. It's got a lot of history, but it is also, those are some of our most beautiful swamp areas. It's all protected land. Okay, so the EPA comes in, they do some testing. We're all watching this black plume, black like the blackest of black, straight 4 miles up, pour entire, and then they tell us your air quality is okay. Nothing to worry about. So we're all like, y'all aren't telling us the truth. So the gentleman named Scott Smith, he was the whistleblower who went up to East Palestine, Ohio, and redid all the soil, water, and air samples and realized the EPA was lying. They weren't testing. It's not that they're lying, it's that they are not testing for specific chemicals. He came here and did some testing, and this is what we have found so far from our first set of soil samples. The iron is 3,876 times higher than what the EPA deems safe. The copper is 366 times higher than what the EPA claims safe. The aluminum is 40 times higher than what the EPA says is safe. We have dead turtles, dead fish in ponds. I know a lady who had to put her horses down. When that black rain came down during the storm and the explosion, it landed on her horses and it began to eat into these horses. LSU could not help her. They wouldn't help her. The veterinarian school, they told her, if we don't know what chemicals it is, we can't treat your horses. She tried everything. She had to have them euthanized. I know another couple, they have 76 acres. They had already baled their hay. They sell half the hay, put the other half up for their cattle. That's how they survived the winter. Their entire hay, all of it was covered in black. The cattle covered in black. We can't get anyone to help us. Our governor, Landry, told everybody it was safe to go home. They will not declare this a disaster area. And because they won't, people cannot be evacuated and get paid back. There are people that are reaching out to me every day, and I have receipts. Their children are having bloody noses. They're nauseated. All of us are having issues breathing. This is 11 miles north of my home, and there's an aquifer that runs underneath us. It's one of the biggest aquifers in Louisiana because it connects to multiple other aquifers. And Smitty sat right on top of it. We don't know what to do, Dave. We
This
can't
is
get anyone to help us.
this is the Gulf oil spill reincarnated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing is the Corexit.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I really I don't know the motive. The motive for the Gulf oil spill was a failed attempt to depopulate the region to turn it into a total industrial hub in the Gulf. And that was admitted to on Jesse Ventura's show, Conspiracy Theory, by a person in the Army Corps of Engineers whose name was S.I. Reese. And there's no question this was the goal. There's a goal here too. I don't think it's just about save the insurance company money. Um, my feeling is that all the people in the affected region need to bombard the media and social media. That's I think that's your best course of action right now. Also, too, the people like who had to put their horses down and their crops are being affected. That's cause of action for lawsuits.
We brought lawsuits. There's also an environmental group that has sued Smitty's. Now, this won't result in anyone making any money, but the environmental group brought a lawsuit September 5th against Smitty Supply to force them to clean our river. Um,
Good luck with that.
it's so bad you can't even go to the river. This is the same river that we bathed in after the last large hurricane. Like this river was so clean. On this, like during the summer, it's so hot here in Louisiana. You would go over the little bridges and you could look down and you see people fishing and swimming and out there with their children. And it's 100 miles of black crap floating down the river. You can't even breathe. If you get over the bridge, you got to hold your breath.
What's the nearest metropolitan area to you?
Baton Rouge and then New Orleans. See, the way we're located, and it's funny you said that, there's a major interstate that runs, like Smitty's was located, the interstates in Louisiana go up and down like this. Smitty's would have been like right here. The aquifer ran like this. But the problem is, and it's funny you said that, Richland Parish, which is about 4 hours north of us, has just been deemed the place that they're going to build the largest data center in the entirety of the world. They're breaking ground on that now. They're destroying longleaf pine forest and old growth oaks and farmland. It's supposed to be like 1,000 acres big, and they're
Yeah.
destroying that entire rural parish to put this data center, this metadata center.
They're trying to depopulate the area because they need the water for the AI.
That's what I'm thinking because this is a very large water aquifer underneath all of us, and they don't care if it's contaminated; they can still cool with it.
Yeah, I've lived through that in my region too. Not what you're describing for natural disaster, but them. When I first moved out to where I'm at, there are about 300 families out here, and we're north of the Phoenix metropolitan area. Now the growth is starting to come to us, but at that time we were pretty isolated, and we have the biggest underground water aquifer in the state. And they tried to force us off our land, said we were too close to an Air Force base. And we knew that was a lie because we're 40 miles, air miles away, and the jets have to fly over 300,000 people to get to us. So we knew that was a lie. And then we found out they wanted to put a Canamex highway through this area and have a hub, with rail and air and so forth. Um, but why did they need the water aquifer? Now, they were working years ahead. About 20 miles to the northeast of us is one of the largest chip factories in the world. They just built it, and they need our water.
They're
Our,
always ahead of
our
us.
utility rates are going up 16% next year to support this.
You see what I'm saying? I tried to tell everybody our governor has agreed to let the largest data center ever built in the world to come to Louisiana. They don't have to pay any taxes, no state taxes, no sales taxes. So basically, just build it, eat up the land, eat up the water. But everybody within a 100-mile radius of that is their electric bill is going to go up. We eat the electric bill increase, not the plant,
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
millionaires. They're not paying for it.
We're living that here where I'm at. We're going up 16% next year.
Good
And
Lord.
there should be more of an organized effort against it, and there's not. And I can't fight every battle.
No.
Uh, but this is something I'm pretty familiar with. When you said data center, I said, okay, I get it. I get it. They want people in that area south where they want to draw the water from. They want them gone. And that's the purpose for this. And I guarantee this is sabotage. Um, Absolutely. And this is why it's not, if you had insurance payouts, you'd bring federal investigators in and they can't have that.
Well,
Um,
this is the thing. They've not told us yet. We're at the mid-September. We have no idea what caused the fire. This was a 60-year-old plant. They already had a death on that plant, a serious injury on that plant. They were fined over $100,000 just last year for dumping antifreeze into the ditches of that small community. In Roseland, right now, 26% of the children between the ages of 5 and 17 have autism and ADHD. 26%.
when did this event happen?
August 22nd, 2025, the plant exploded. It burned until August 25th. So okay, here's the other thing that really upsets me. This plant was in this community with only 1,600 people for 60 years. They never helped this community get a fire department. This plant made $70 million, this plant up to 170 million every year for 60 years. They did not help this community get a fire department. So when it exploded, it took 2 to 4 hours to get the adequate equipment there, the foam. And then here's what they won't even tell us what they sprayed. They won't tell us what chemicals Smitty had. They won't tell us what chemicals they sprayed to put the fire out. They put it out finally by the 25th. The sucker reignited on the 29th. It like another explosion, they still have chemicals in the standing tanks that did not blow. They've not pumped them out yet. It
Wow.
doesn't make any sense. Like
It
decommission it.
makes sense to me. This is a rough parallel to the Gulf oil spill. I guarantee. I see elements of it already. Um, and the suppressant that they put on the fire, I guarantee, is toxic, and it's in the transpirational cycle now. Um, I could write the ending to this because I lived it. That was really what kind of propelled my show to a higher level. Is I wrote about the Gulf oil crisis in a 7-part series, and Jim Mars was writing a book about conspiracies, and he actually gave me about 2 pages in his book, and then all of a sudden our views went astronomical. And I am so familiar with this kind of stuff. And the epicenter for the Gulf oil spill, in terms of the damage and Corexit spraying, was in Louisiana area off the coast.
Mhm.
And the kids, there was like Plaquemines Parish. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yes,
I was
sir.
in contact with people in that community, and all the kids in local elementary school were sick from the effects. Their hair was falling out. This is the kind of thing you're going to see. And I guarantee you they're spraying a Corexit derivative on the fire because if they want toxicity, Corexit will actually submerge the oil and stop the fire, but put the oil down in the water column to do more damage in the Gulf oil spill. And I guarantee there's a Corexit component to this because it's highly susceptible to getting into the transpirational cycle. It survives the evaporation and then the condensation back to Earth. And this is what they want. This is how you spread it. You get these chemicals in coming back to Earth as rain, and
Yes.
it continues to do the damage. You don't have to have repeated explosions, but you would get the effect of repeated explosions, and you can get it farther away than the original site would allow. In other words, you can encompass more area, more land area. See, this is something I know like the back of my hand. And what you're telling me, I see all the elements here.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I find it very, we were not due rain that day. There was nothing on the radar saying it was going to rain.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
because
okay,
it just, all of a sudden there's this explosion. We all hear it miles away. You hear it. Then you start seeing this column of black go straight up. And we're all like, and I got my husband because he just got diagnosed with a brain aneurysm. And I'm like, get in the vehicle now. I don't know where that's going. I don't know if it's coming our way or the opposite way, but get in the vehicle. So as we're evacuating, we see it's Smitty's. And then I look to the other way, like I'm looking east, I see Smitty's. I look west, and out of nowhere is this huge black cloud and it's
okay.
beginning to form. And then, because everybody knows I believe in weather modification, growing under a poison sky. And this sucker hit Smitty's. And Dave, it was a legitimately like watching a tornado of chemicals start spinning, and it just went poof. And people were like, "Oh my God, black rain's coming down." People that were 20, 25 miles, 30 miles from the explosion site, their pools are covered in black oil. It was horrendous.
It's going to be worse. Um, the Corexit rainfall after the Gulf oil spill went as far away as North Carolina and Memphis.
Oh my gosh.
And it's gonna be worse because it gets into the weather cycle. And
I'm writing all this down.
Corexit Corexit is in tune to doing that. Here's the other thing too. Why would we use Corexit when it's banned in 19 countries? That's because Vanguard 1 and 2 were making money on it. Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, same Vanguard. And Obama, who was the president during the Gulf oil spill, was deriving most of his investment income from Vanguard. So I guarantee you're going to find these kind of connections because I've lived this. I covered this for 2 years. And what you're telling me, I've read this book before and I know where it's going. You're going to see an expansion of the effects. And it's interesting, it's not in the media. That's not an accident.
That's exactly right. It's only local, and it's very, very few people have come out here and done anything for us. Now, like local channels are like former, say, black rain fell from Smitty's explosion. 10 miles away, Smitty's supply motor oil facility during the August 22nd explosion coated the pasture, water troughs, and bales of hay on the Hayden farm. The herd of 50 beef cattle are now refusing to graze on the pasture, refuse to drink from the water troughs, and will no longer eat their hay. Their entire cattle's it's people's entire lives are gone.
Yeah,
And it's
remember I said that they don't do things for one reason. Now you're impacting livestock. And what's the WEF at war with? Meat and eggs.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's not an accident either. Okay, I think I got enough here to delve into this. Unfortunately, I won't be able to put this on YouTube, but we'll put it out on our podcast radio networks. It'll go on Rumble.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Sure.
I needed somebody with your experience to help us. Not to mention, I do want to point this out. I know a gentleman now who has a podcast, but he was one of the up and coming movers and shakers in New Orleans when Katrina hit. And 2 years before Katrina hit, one of his buddies was like, "You need to invest in land in the ninth and seventh ward." And he was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Because we're going to move the Superdome to that area. And he said, I laughed because everybody knows those people have been there for generations. They're not going anywhere. And then Katrina hit, they blew the levee and flooded those areas out, all with the intention of moving the Superdome. And the people still were able to hold on to their land. But you're right. They're always after our
It's
land. And
Lahaina. That's Lahaina stuff.
mhm.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it happens. But thank you, Dave, for doing this for us. We
Okay.
appreciate you.
Let's jump into this. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to cover it. Okay, we'll go in three, two, one.